Hey friends, it's Ren, and today I'm going to be doing a 5-star predictions video. This video, I'm not sure if this is going to be like a thing for me, that I'm going to do it more than once, because I am very bad at predicting what is going to be 5 stars and what isn't. I have gone into so many books thinking that I was going to absolutely love them, and they were the books that I disliked the most. So that said, I'm doing this with a little bit of trepidation. I will do a check-in video, I believe, just saying, whether or not I actually gave these books 5 stars, but I'll have to actually read them all. Luckily, I do plan to do so in the very near future, at least during the summer. I plan to get to all of these. So enough of me rambling, let's just get into it. The first book that I have is The Library of the Unwritten by A.J. Hackwith. This is about a girl named Claire who is a librarian in hell who looks after all of the unfinished stories that authors just leave. And apparently, I believe these stories can come alive, and that's why she has to keep watch over them. I really like stuff to do with Christianity. I don't know how to call it biblical lore maybe, but that feels, I don't know, pejorative, so I don't know if I want to use that term. But I am really interested in stuff to do with the Bible and the devil and stuff like that. That's why Good Omens is one of my favorite books, so I'm definitely intrigued by that aspect of this. But I also really like books to do with books, especially books to do with libraries. This vaguely reminds me of Sorcery of Thorns by Margaret Rogerson, which I really did enjoy, and I think that this one will be a little more refined than that one, so I have high hopes for this one. My fingers are crossed. Next I have The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. This, I've just heard nothing but good things about. This entire series I've heard nothing but good things about. I've heard great things about the protagonist. I've heard that it's very political, politics heavy, and I prefer that in a fantasy. I really like fantasies that aren't just action, action, action. I like to get into the politics of the world building. I've not been so hopeful about a fantasy series in a very long time, so I'm hoping it doesn't let me down. I love a badass main character, especially when it's a female main character, so actually really only when it's a female main character. So I am very much looking forward to getting into this one and hopefully loving it enough to continue the series. Next we have one that I feel like most people will be like, you haven't read that yet? And I am asking myself the same question, but it is The Diviners by Libba Bray. This book is so big on BookTube. Everybody loves it except for 3 people that I know of. It's just beloved. So just based on that fact, I can't believe I haven't read it, but also the fact that it is set in 1920s New York, which 1920s, for those of you who don't know, is pretty much my favorite time period. It's very basic of me, I know, but I just find it really interesting economically, socially. There was just a lot going on in the 1920s, so I can't believe I haven't read this. I really can't, especially because everything that I've heard about it says that it gives a very broad picture of the 1920s, a more honest picture than the one that is often portrayed, which is just rich people doing rich stuff. It deals with racism and homophobia and everything that was truly nasty about the 1920s. So I am very much hopeful. I really think that I'm gonna love this. I don't know why it's taking me so long to actually sit down and read it. It's just because I get intimidated by series, I think is what it is. But even so, no excuse. I just need to lock it down. There's only 4 books in the series. I had to look at my shelf because I have all of them. That's how much of a vote of confidence that I'm giving this series. So hopefully it doesn't let me down. Next, I have Sleepwalking by Meg Wolitzer. So this is about a group of girls at a college who are called the Death Girls, and they are all obsessed with various poets and those female poets and those poets' suicide. So it's kind of like Dead Poets Society a little bit, but it's a lot more goth, emo than that. And it focuses on a girl in the Death Girls named Claire, and it just sounds right up my alley. Kat from Paperback Dreams even, she recently read it and gave it 5 stars, and she even said when I commented, that sounds like something I would like, that she thought of me while she was reading it. So usually when that is the case, it's probably gonna be within my realm of aesthetic. Like, it even sounds very me. So I'm really looking forward to reading this one. I think this is actually gonna be the next book that I read. So that's exciting. I also just really want a like dark academia type book that is set around women. I have been finding more and more recently. I've been actively searching them out because a lot of them just center around men and there'll be like one woman in the group. So I am very much looking forward to this. Similarly, I have The Group by Mary McCarthy, which is about a group of girls who went to Vassar. I'm not a true academic. And they are just called The Group because they're always together. And it's just about their lives following graduating from college. I have heard really good things about this. This has been on my radar since like high school because it's an older book. It has all the elements of things that I would like. And I've also been told that I would like it by someone who has read it. Usually when people think of me while they're reading, it's due to my very specific interests. So this definitely seems like it would be up my alley just based on the description. Also, I again want to read more academic type settings with women involved. I don't know how much time they actually spend in school because I know a lot of it focuses on what happens after they leave school and like when they get married and such, but hopefully some of it focuses on that or at least does flashbacks. I don't know. But yeah, I still think that this is going to be a new favorite of mine. The next book is The Paris Wife by Paula McLean. This book takes place in 1920s Paris, and it is from the perspective, I believe, or focuses on Hadley Hemingway, who is Ernest Hemingway's wife. I don't know if she changed her name. It's Hadley Richardson is her maiden name, but it focuses on her life with Ernest Hemingway in Paris in the 1920s. It also introduces the Fitzgeralds, Ezra Pound, all the people who were around at that time. So this seems like it's gonna be 5 stars for me, even if it's literally trashy, because one of my favorite books when I was in, I think it was high school, was Z, which is the book about Zelda Fitzgerald, the fictionalized, like, telling of Zelda Fitzgerald. I can't remember who it was by, but I loved that book so much. I just love anything that takes place with writers during the 1920s. It unparalleled. And I know that I'm trash for liking that. And I know that I'm basic for liking that. But what can I do? Like, it was such a glamorized time and I fall right into the trap. So I feel like this is definitely going to be a 5-star read for me, even if it's just based entirely in personal bias. The next book on the list is going to be A Room with a View by E.M. Forster. This, I don't know a ton about the like basic plot, I guess. What I do know, it's about a girl named Lucy who goes to Florence and she meets a guy. It's a love story, and I've heard that it's a very like warm and happy one. This is one of Carolyn Marie Reed's favorite books, and I tend to trust her judgment on classics. We tend to line up very similarly in a lot of places, so I think that I'm going to like it. Also, if you watched my June wrap-up, you know that I read Morris by E.M. Forster, and I just fell in love with the way that he writes. His writing style, it fills me with just such a joy. He's just a joy to read, so I am really hoping that this is going to be a 5-star. I'm predicting that it's going to be a 5-star, just like Morris was. That book is very unique, so this is probably the one that I'm most, like, I'm not sure about, but I'm predicting. I'm putting it out into the universe, manifesting a 5-star from this. The next book is Brideshead Revisited by Evelyn Waugh. I'm gonna say his name right this time. This takes place, I think it's either the 20s or the 30s. I know it takes place right before World War II, but it says the Golden Age right before the Second World War. I don't think that anyone would call the Great Depression a golden age, but this is probably the book in my life that has been the most heavily recommended to me. So many people have told me that I would love this, and I am just hoping that I do. A lot of people have compared it to the, like, social commentary of Oscar Wilde, which, if you know anything about me, I love the way Oscar Wilde writes. Literally no one writes like him. So even if this is a glance in that direction, I think that I will at least like it. But like I said, most heavily recommended book ever in my life, so I am very much looking forward to actually getting into it and hopefully loving it and loving Yves Lenoir's writing so that I can read everything that he wrote. And finally, it's the book that might be the least exciting for some of you, but it's very exciting for me, and it is Savage Beauty, The Life of Edna St. Vincent Millay by Nancy Milford. So Nancy Milford wrote one of my all-time favorite biographies, which is Zelda, which is Zelda Fitzgerald. It was about her life. It was probably the first, I think it was the first biography that I ever read, and I was just entranced. She writes so well and engagingly that it's impossible not to be really interested while you're reading, which a lot of biographers have trouble with that because they're historians first, so they don't always tell the best stories, but Nancy Milford does. For those of you who don't know, Edna St. Vincent Millay was a poet during the Jazz Age, again with the 1920s. I'm seeing a big theme here. It's just it's the setting that I'm most primed to like, I guess. But she was one of the most famous poets during the Jazz Age, and she was a queer woman, I believe, from what I know. So excited. Her life sounds very interesting in general, so that, matched with Nancy Milford's writing style, I'm looking forward to it. So those are all the books on my 5-star predictions list. I am praying that some of them come to fruition. I'm doing pretty well lately with reading. I haven't read anything really bad for a while, especially nothing that I chose for myself. Some books that I had to read for videos, specifically my Reluctant Reader sci-fi video, I did not like, but other than that, it's been going pretty well for me. So hopefully it goes even better and all of these will be 5 stars. I feel like probably not, but I can dream. So thank you guys for joining me. If you have any 5-star predictions for yourself, or if there's a book that you think that I would give 5 stars that's not on this list, please let me know. I would love to hear it. Until next time, my friends. Bye!
Seen a face, I can't forget the time or place where we first met. She's just the girl for me, and I want all the world to see we met.